Now, Congressman Khanna, a Democrat from California and member of 3 committees, those being Budget, Armed Services, and Oversight. Congressman, welcome to you, sir. Are your colleagues on Oversight talking about getting Roger Stone to come in now that Michael Cohen has officially backed out of public testimony, though I want to get an update on that in just a moment. But first to Roger Stone.
We should have him in. Here is the thing. The American people deserve answers and transparency. These investigations can't be behind closed door. And then when witness comes before the Oversight Committee, that testimony will be public. So I do believe we should have him in.
Okay. With regard to Michael Cohen, it's our understanding Intel Committee behind closed doors. But are you still trying to negotiate to get him in front of your committee? And would that be on a public basis?
We are, and that would be public. Chairman Cummings is working with Michael Cohen to make sure that any of his concerns are addressed in terms of safety. We want him to testify. The American people have a right to know that these answers are fully public so that they can make a judgment.
Can you give us a sense, sir, of what is on the agenda for investigating the president, what the most critical question to be answered about this president is in your mind?
Well, Alex, there are so many questions, but the first should be that we should get his taxes, because this administration had policies that basically gave tax breaks to the very wealthy. The Congress has the right to get the president's taxes to see what financial conflicts of interest are they. Does he have financial investments in Russia? Does he have financial investments that are dictating public policy? Congress has the right to do that. Some of us have written to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee saying, let's do it. Let's get the president's taxes.
Look, that is something that is definitely of interest to Congress, and I can speak for certainly myself and fellow journalists that it's of interest to them. Do you think that translates to the American public as well? Do they feel the need to know what's in this president's taxes?
I do, because it harkens back to the 1920s when this law came about. You know, back then there was corruption, the Teapot Dome scandal, and Secretary Andrew Mellon under Coolidge, they were enriching themselves and passing policies to enrich themselves. And so Congress said that's ridiculous. We need to get people's tax returns so we make sure that there are no financial conflicts of interest. This is not out of some lurid interest of the president's finances. This is to see, does he have conflicts of interest that are hurting the American public? And I think most Americans want that. 60% of Americans think it's a fair thing that the president disclose his taxes.
Moving, sir, to your role on armed services, Democrats joined Republicans last week in rebuking the president's plan to withdraw troops from Syria and Afghanistan. There's an appearance that Democrats are in favor of these endless wars. What do you say to that?
Well, Alex, I have departed from some of my colleagues. I wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post saying that we should be for withdrawal from Syria and Afghanistan. It should be responsible. We should have an envoy there who will engage in diplomacy. We should make sure Erdogan isn't just annexing the Kurdish area, and there's a role for strong diplomacy. But we should be for bringing our troops home and putting an end to these endless wars.
That op-ed, sir, if I'm not mistaken, you have written as well about how you strongly oppose U.S. intervention in Venezuela, and you point out that it's illegal under the United Nations Charter to seek regime change. But don't the people of Venezuela deserve some relief? I mean, how do you propose tackling problems there?
Well, look, Maduro has had a failed regime. He's had failed economics. There's extrajudicial killings. I in no way would condone what he's doing. But when the United States intervenes, what we often end up doing is rallying support to Maduro, because he can go about saying there's foreign interference, and that actually makes the situation worse. What I have support is what Pope Francis has called for, which is a negotiated settlement and then a move towards fair elections. I think the history of our intervention in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria shows that we often make matters worse and don't improve the lives for the people we're trying to help.
Democratic California Congressman Khanna, I'd love to speak with you again, so come see me again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me on.
The difference between